Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, welcome back to the financial management class. Once again, our discussion is about the business environment. Dear students, remember we have explained and we have discussed about the sole proprietorship. We have explained about the partnership. Our today discussion is about the corporation. Corporation is the third form of business organization, and it is a form where the owners are having separate legal entity over here. Separate legal entity mean that there are two groups who are running the business. One group is called owners and another group is called the directors. The first group is called owners and the second group is called the managers. So both of the group here is having both of the group are involved in running the business, but the first group is capital providers. The owners is capital providers, but the another group which are called managers, they are running the day-to-day operations of the business. So that's why the definition of this business explains that this is a type of business where we are having separate legal entity by law. Owners are not permitted to put their hand in the affairs of business on daily basis. And another type of definition for the corporation is that it is an artificial entity. That's an entity that can own asset and incur liability. But this asset and incurring of liability is by the name of business. This will incur and this will purchase liabilities, and this will take liabilities by the name of business. So liabilities and the assets will purchase by the name of business. So that's why we may say that it is a type of business which are called corporation. Dear students, in this business, the business income is accounted. What about the income? So when business income is accounted for income tax form of the corporation. So we have, like, for example, the income tax law in Afghanistan, and here the tax that they will pay, so they will pay their taxes with the form of the income tax of the America. And Afghanistan, we have the income tax law of Afghanistan, and it's having separate documents or separate forms for all the tax payment of the company or towards the government. So here we also use the corporation form of income tax, and also in America they will also use the income tax form. Dear students, what are the advantages of this business? So now we will explain about the advantages of the corporation. Corporation is having a limited liability. This is one of the most and the major advantage of corporation. Limited liability, once again, mean that personal property is not in risk. Personal property is not in risk if the company is doing loss, and at the time of loss the owners are not personally liable to pay the business obligation. So because there is the shareholder or the investors will invest their capital in shares or in stock, so only the invested amount is in risk. Property, personal businesses and other amount of money is not in risk. This is one of the advantage of the corporation. Second, dear students, in corporate type of business, the transfer of ownership is easy. Yani you can easily transfer, and you can sell the shares. We have the stock exchanges, and the stock exchanges we can stock exchange, and in stock exchanges we can sell the shares, and we can transfer capital or ownership. So this is easy in corporation. And second, dear students, we may say that corporation is having unlimited life. The life of these type of businesses is unlimited. These are long-term businesses, and it's having a view for long-term dealings. So that's why we have that we may say that life of the corporation is unlimited, and it may never easily bankrupt, or we may say it may never go down. The life of this business is unlimited. And also it is easier for corporation to raise a large amount of capital, large amount of money, because the general partners, the shareholders, for the first time when the corporation is collecting capital, so they will issue the IPOs, initial public offering. But if they need any more investment, so they can sell the shares in market, and they can get capital from these people. So capital collection is not a big issue for corporation, and they can collect a large amount, large quantity of capital for running the business. So we have discussed about the 4 advantages of corporation. The first one was the limited liability. Second one, transfer of ownership was easy. The third one is unlimited life. The fourth one, the capital collection was easier. So these are some of the advantages of corporation, and which will help the investors, which will help the owners to start such type of business or to do such type of investment. Dear students, what are the disadvantages of corporation? So one of the major disadvantage of corporation is the double taxation. They will pay taxes twice. One, the corporate income tax, and the second one, the individual income tax form. Every owners should pay their taxes. And here difficulties, we have difficulties in establishing this business. This is not an easy type of business. One cannot establish it. It need a lot of documentation, and we should for example, develop our business according to the charter of the country, charter of incorporation. So this need a lot of work, and establishment of this business is not an easy task. So this is the second disadvantages of this business. It is a more expensive business, and the setup of this business and maintaining this business is a very difficult task. It need a lot of efforts, it need a lot of money, it need a lot of time to establish this business. So we have discussed about the 3 disadvantages of this business. The first one is double taxation, the second one is the most difficult business to establish, and the fourth one is an expensive business. Setup is difficult to maintain, and more expensive to set up and maintain for a long period of time. So it need a lot of efforts, capital, and money. These were some of the disadvantages of the corporation. Dear students, the fourth type of business is called the limited liability companies. It's also called the LLC, if you have heard this name. So what does limited liability company mean? It's also a type of corporation. Let's to explain. Dear students, the owners are the people who will provide capital to an corporation is called shareholder or stockholder. But those who will provide capitals or who will invest their capital in this business, they may call the members. So we can call them members of the corporation, the LLC, member of LLC, an limited liability company. So this business is like the corporation type of business. The structure of this business is like a corporate business, a corporate structure. In corporate structure, if you remember, we have two things. One, we have two things in corporation. One, limited personal liability, the owners who will invest capital in corporation, their liability is limited towards the investment. And second, the federal tax treatment of a partnership. So here we have, like, for example, one another characteristic of partnership, which are called the federal tax treatment. So two things, limited personal liability, one thing, and second, federal income tax treatment of partnership. This is what the characteristic of the LLC. The people who will invest their capital is called them the members. In short, we may say that it's having a characteristic of corporation, and the corporation characteristic is that this business is having like, for example, limited type of limited personal liability, one thing, and second, that this business will pay their taxes on the basis of the corporate income tax law treatment. So this is the two important benefit of the corporation. Dear students, in this business, the business income is accounted for each member. Each member will pay will take their business income, and they will pay taxes. They will not pay double taxes, but they will pay taxes according to the individual income tax form. The corporation we will pay taxes at the basis of the corporate income tax, and there is double taxation. But in LLC we have like individual tax income tax form, and there is single taxation. Dear students, let's to explain this LLC majorly, clearly, with the distinguishing to distinguish it from the corporation. So if you see over here, dear students, we mentioned over here that LLC will possesses only the first two of the four standards of the corporation. Corporation have four standards. Corporation have four characteristics. So LLC will take two of them, and it will not take the rest of the two. LLC will consider these two. Like, for example, LLC will have limited liability, one thing, and LLC is also having centralized management. These two are the characteristic of corporation. Both of them are the characteristic of corporation. Corporation is having centralized system, and second, corporation is having limited liability. But if you see over here, unlimited life is equals to the following four standards corporation. But it will not, like, for example, consider the second characteristic of corporation, the third characteristic, which are unlimited life. The life of LLC may be limited, and here transfer of the ownership is not easy without taking the prior consultation of the owners. So we may say that these two characteristics, which are limited liability and centralized management system, is the characteristic of corporation. But these are also the characteristic of corporation, which are unlimited life and transfer of ownership. But in LLC do not possess these two characteristics. LLC do not have these two characteristics. So LLC do not possess these two characteristics. So it will not take these two characteristics. of the businesses. So that's why we may say that it is the LLC. So the definition of LLC will possess two characteristics, mean it's having limited liability, and second, it is having centralized management system. And its corporation is having four characteristics, but the LLC will only take two characteristics from corporation, and it will not take the rest of the characteristic of corporation. What are the advantages of LLC? So LLC is having limited liability. This is one of the advantages, like the corporation having limited liability, mean the personal property of the members is not in risk. Second, the LLC will eliminate double taxation. Corporation is having double tax, and you should pay the double taxes in corporation, but in LLC we have only single income tax form, and we should pay our taxes according to the single income tax form. In LLC there are no restriction on number of owners, so we do not have any restriction that how much people can invest in an LLC. There is no restriction, so restriction is not available in LLC. This is one another advantage of the LLC. And the additional capital collection, or to increase the capital or to raise capital, it is easy in the LLC. So these were the four major advantages of LLC that we have discussed over here. Dear students, what are the disadvantages of LLC? The LLC disadvantages Shadi. So let's to explain about the disadvantages. Disadvantages mean LLC is having limited life. One thing, generally life is limited, and second, transfer of ownership difficulties we have in LLC, and I mean the owners cannot transfer their capital before taking the consultation of the members, those who have invested their capital in the partnership. So dear students, I hope that you have understand. Let's to explain this in a bit pushto. مونږ چې د تجارت د محیط په باره کې خبرې کوو، او د محیط ته لحاظه مونږ ویلې چې تجارتونه په څلور قسمونو مونږ پیدا کولی شو، چې یو ته سول پروپرایټرشپ ویلی شي، دویم ته پارټنرشپ، او دریم ته کارپوریشن یا شراکت ویلی شي، شراکت سهامي چې ورته وایي. نو دا هغه قسم د بزنس دی چې په دې کې مونږ سپریټ لیګل انټیټي لرو، او سپریټ لیګل انټیټي معنا دا چې دلته دوه ګروپونه وي، یو ته اونرز ویلی شي، بل ته مینیجرز. نو اونرز چې دي دا انویسټرز دي، دوی په بزنس کې سرمایه گذاري کړي، خو د دوی دا سرمایه گذاري چې دا کله چې دوی دا په بزنس کې کړي وي دي اونرز، نو د دوی دا سرمایه چې دا ډیر سټوډنټس دا د دې باعث نشي کېدای چې دوی همیشه د بزنس په افیرز کې خپل لاسوهنه وکړي. نو دې وجه نه لا چې دی یا قانون چې دی دوی ته د دوی خپل حدودات ښودلي دي چې نه they can ask the managers, but the daily operations, daily activities, daily routines should be run by managers. روزمره کارونه باید منیجران وکړي، او they should report to the owners annually, or like for example bi-annually. So this is what we may say corporation. دویم دا چې corporation چې دی دا یو artificial entity یا سازمان دی یا organization دی چې په خپل نوم باندې قرضه هم اخیستلی شي، او په خپل نوم باندې دارایي اخلي، یعنی دا د یو خاص کس په نوم باندې نه وي، ځکه دا چې دی د بزنس په نوم باندې اخیستل کېږي. په کارپوریشن کې چې کله مونږ د انکم ټیکس په باره کې خبرې کوو، نو دلته مونږ بزنس انکم چې دی د کارپوریټ انکم ټیکس فارم مطابق باید خپل پیسې ورکړي، یعنی انکم باید په دې شکل باندې پی کړي. سو دا چې دی د انکم ټیکس فارم د کارپوریشن استفاده کوي تر څو ټیکس پرداخت کړي. راځو هغه فائدې د دې څه شي دي. اوله فائده دا ده چې دوی لیمیټډ لایبیلیټي لري، یعنی معنا دا چې په دې کې څوک سرمایه گذاري وکړي او که خدای ناخواسته بزنس کله ناکام شي یا ورشکست شي، نو د دوی پرسنل پراپرټي په ریسک کې نه ده، بلکې دوی چې دی صرف هماغه پیسې چې دلته سرمایه گذاري کړي هماغه پیسې په خطر یا په ریسک کې دي. دویم به کارپوریشن میجرلی مونږ وایو چې هیر ټرانسفر اف اونرشپ از ډیفیکلټ، یعنی که یو کس نشي ایزي یو کس کولی شي چې خپل شیرز خرڅ کړي په بل کس باندې او هغه د دې مالک شي، یعنی دا په سټاک ایکسچینج کې پاسبل دی. نو ټرانسفر اف اونرشپ چې دی ایزي دی په دې کې. درېیمه خبر دا ده چې دلته انلیمیټډ لایف دی، یعنی کارپوریشن هغه بزنسونه دي چې ژوند یا عمر یې دی اوږدمهاله وي، یعنی اوږدمهال دپاره دا بزنسونه وي. او بل معنا دا چې دلته په غټ مقدار باندې موږ د کیپټل جمع کول چې دي زموږ دپاره کوم غټ سخت کار نه دی، یعنی معنا دا چې دا د کامن پبلک بزنس دی او هغوی په دې کې څه مګزاري کړي. نو کیپټل کلیکشن از ناٹ ډیفیکلټ ان کارپوریشن. And now let's to explain about اوس د دې د نقصاناتو په باره کې ذکر کوو چې د کارپوریشن نقصانات څه شي دي. سو نقصانات ډېر دا دي، یو چې ډبل ټیکسیشن لري، یعنی دلته مونږ ټوایس ټیکس ورکوو، یو چې د انکم ټیکس کارپوریشن، دویم انډیویژوال انکم ټیکس فارم مطابق، او د دې جوړول چې دي ډېر سخت دي. اټ از ډیفیکلټ ټو اسټابلیش، نو دا دویم نقصان کېدلی شي. او دریم دا چې دا یو ډېر ایکسپنسیو او همدارنګه سیټ اپ او مینټین کول د دې بزنس چې دی دا ټایم کنزیومینګ دی او اټ نیډ مچ مور ایفرټس اینڈ سټرګل. نو دا هغه نقصانات دي د کارپوریشن. څلورم قسم د بزنس چې دی ډېر سټوډنټس هغې ته ویلی شي لیمیټډ لایبیلیټي کمپني. نو وټ ډز لیمیټډ لایبیلیټي کمپني مینز؟ نو دا هغه بزنس شکل دی چې هغه موږ ته د دې اونرانو ته چې دی یا مالکانو ته ممبرز ویلی شي. نو دا باید تاسو ته یاد وي چې دوز هو آر انویسټینګ کیپټل ان LLC we can call them members. دې ته LLC هم ویلی شي. دا هم د کارپوریټ په شکل باندې یا د شراکت په شکل باندې یو بزنس دی چې د دوی خلک هم لیمیټډ پرسن لایبیلیټي لري، یعنی معنا لایبیلیټي محدوده ده، قرضه محدوده ده تر انویسټمنټ کیپټل پورې. او دوی چې د فیډرل ټیکس ټریټمنټ اف پارټنرشپ مطابق چې د خپل پیمنټ او ډیلینګز کوي، یعنی حکومت سره چې کوم ډیلینګز دي. او بزنس انکم د دې ارګنایزیشن چې دی یا د دې پیسې چې دي د انډیویژوال انکم ټیکس فارم مطابق، یعنی دوی چې ډبل ټیکسیشن نه ورکوي بلکې د انډیویژوال انکم ټیکس فارم مطابق خپل ټیکس دولت ته پرداخت کوي. دا د LLC خصوصیاتو. اوس راځو چې LLC چې دی نور څه خصوصیات لري. نو موږ ویلې چې LLC چې دی د کارپوریشن موږ څلور خصوصیات لرو چې یو ته لیمیټډ لایبیلیټي ویلی شي، دا د کارپوریشن یو خاصیت دی. سنټرلایز مینجمنټ سیستم لري، دا د کارپوریشن بل خاصیت دی. د کارپوریشن دریم خاصیت دا دی چې انلیمیټډ لایب لري. او څلورم خاصیت دا دی چې ټرانسفر اف اونرشپ چې دی په هغې کې ایزي دی. نو راځو دلته چې لیمیټډ لایبیلیټي کمپني په دې څلورو کې چې یو، دوه، درې او څلور شول، په دې څلورو پوینټونو کې اولنی دوه چې دي دا د کارپوریشن نه راخلي. معنا دا چې دا بزنس چې دی دا لیمیټډ یا محدوده قرضه لري او دا یو خاصیت د کارپوریشن دی. دویم دا بزنس چې دی سنټرلایز مینجمنټ سیستم لري، یعنی سیستم یې سنټرلایز دی. نو دا دوه خاصیتونه د کارپوریشن خاصیتونه دي او دا خاصیتونه دوی پوزیس کوي، یعنی اخلي یې. خو یو دوه خاصیت چې د کارپوریشن دوی نه مني، یو هغه دا دی چې دوی انلیمیټډ لایف چې دی نه ایکسپټ کوي، یعنی مین کېدای شي ډېر زر ختم شي یا کلوز اپ شي. او دریم د ټرانسفر اف اونرشپ چې دی هغه د اونرانو د کنسنټ او د کنسلټیشن او د هغوی د اجازې نه بغیر تاسو ټرانسفر اف کیپټل نشئ کولی. ډیر سټوډنټس LLC فائدې څه شي دي چې د هغې باندې ډسکشن وکړو. نو یوه فایده دا ده چې دا لیمیټډ لایبیلیټي لري. دویمه فایده دا ده چې ډبل ټیکسیشن دلته نشته. دریمه فایده دا ده چې نمبر اف اونرز باندې کوم ریسټریکشن یا حدودات نشته دی، مطلب اونرز چې دی نمبر ډېرېدلی هم شي او کمېدلی هم شي. او په دې کې چې د کیپټل ایډیشنل کیپټل لاسته راوړل چې دي هغه ایزي دي. معنا کولی شو چې ایسا کامن شیر هولډر چې موږ په کارپوریشن کړو دې ته هم کیپټل کلیکشن وکړو. خو د دې نقصانات دا دي چې دلته لیمیټډ لایف دی، یعنی ژوند محدود دی د جنرال پارټنرانو لپاره. او دویم دا چې ټرانسفر اف اونرشپ ډیفیکلټیز لري، په اونرشپ کې دوی سختی لري. نو دا هغه دوه خصوصیاتو چې موږ د LLC په باره کې د دې د نقصاناتو په باره کې وویلې. So I hope so dear students that you have understand about the today lecture, and if you have any questions so do not hesitate to contact me through my mobile or WhatsApp number, or you can send me an email if you have any problem. So I will answer your question, and if you do not understand through email or through phone, so please note your question, come to Sharqa, I will answer all of these things and I will make clear your problem. So I wish you happy and successful life. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.